Music. Reviews.
Chat.
Poems.
Comedy. Writing. Interviews.
ELFM, it's radio, but so much more.
Hello, and welcome to the Vandal Factory Radio Show. My name's Natalie Claytomas.
And I'm Henry Raby.
And together we are
Vandal
Factory!
Factory!
Vandal Factory!
Factory!
Vandal!
That's what they all chant when they see us in the street.
I know. Gosh,
all our
actually,
adoring
it's quite
fans.
Embarrassing, actually,
Yeah,
how
come on,
enthusiastic
chill
everyone
out,
is.
guys.
Yeah, Henry, how you doing?
I'm all right, thank you, mate. I'm feeling pretty angry.
Good. What are you angry about?
Just government, innit? Government, state.
Oh, hang about. Have we got a new Prime Minister since our last podcast?
Yeah. I think we're averaging now about like a PM a podcast.
Yeah, PM a podcast.
Um,
Oh dear. Well, enough said about that.
I went.
Is Liz Truss No, she's gone. And there's another one in.
I went to Parliament on Monday.
Oh my gosh, you took 30 young people from in and around Seacroft down to Parliament. I was so jealous.
I know.
How was it?
It was really good.
It looked mint.
So we had a little tour, and I was like, just turn it into flats. Just turn it into, like, tear it down.
Were you
tear it
saying
down.
that?
Yeah. And then we left, and Greenpeace did a bloody occupation. We
Whoa.
missed it by like half an hour.
Oh, mate.
What I thought was fascinating about going in there was, so I'm from York, so you're used to old buildings, but my goodness, what a spectacle. It's very Game of Thronesy, actually, in a way. I can see how you can to get lured into this world of ceremony and pomp and gold, like gold everywhere, beautiful, ornate carvings and power and privilege, and completely forget about the people that elected you.
If you don't come from a world where you're used to there being doormen and someone who holds the door open for you and says, I don't know what the term is, but there's a particular language that they'll say.
My honourable friends, like we with the kids, we were talking to them about like there's rules and you have to refer to each other as the honourable friends, the honourable gentleman, the honourable lady.
But then there'll be other people who are MPs who that's completely normal for, and like walking through there is like, oh look, it's like back being at school. And how interesting that is to think about space and how your environment and space might shape your views. Like, how would it be different if we got all of the commons around a big circle in like a fairly neutral space, and they're all interlinked, not interlinked. They were all jumbled up in terms of parties and stuff. How would the conversation be different? Which is actually something we're going to be talking about in today's show. Before we get on to that, Henry, what else have you been up to?
Eagle-eared listeners will know that a few months ago we interviewed Petrol Girls for their new album, Baby, and I went to see them touring it, and I went to see them at the Key Club. A really banging set. The new songs are amazing live, but I wanted to play a track by the support band who were called The Strangers with a Z. So we're going to hear a tune by this cool up-and-coming band who just gave it their all, did exactly what a support band should do, was just have a load of fun and just be like, boom, this is us. Hope you enjoy the rest of the gig.
Oh yeah, what's the song called, Henry?
Shut up.
What?
Shut up.
What?
Shut up.
Henry Raby, if you speak to me like that one more time...
No, Natalie, the name of the song is Shut Up.
Oh. Shut up, Henry.
Listen, mate, I dye my hair real blue 'cause I'm so bloody sad when I think of you. You know, in bed I had such a good attack 'cause you're a little rat boy with no sex factor.
great. They sound exactly up your street.
Yeah, I'll tell you another band that are exactly up my street.
Yeah, go on.
There's a band called Martha. Now,
Aw.
they are from County Durham. Their other band I got into first called Unsinned, but they are four pals who write songs about being queer anarchist millennials, and they're just one of my favourite bands. And I think the reason is because they tell lots of little stories within it. So it isn't just Smash the State, which song I love those songs, but there's also so much like character within these. So I managed to catch up with the drummer, and also like they all take it in turn singing vocals. So when I say it's a vocalist, not the vocalist, Nathan Stephen-Griffith, and we're going to hear a little interview with Nathan now, if that's okay with you, Natalie.
It absolutely is.
Hello, so I'm joined by Nathan Stephen-Griffith from seminal pop punk combo Martha. How are you doing, Nathan?
I'm all right, thanks, Henry. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for asking me how I am. Not every guest does that. They just go, I'm fine, and move on with the interview. So when I'm trying to describe Martha to my friends, I tend to say they're like the Millennial Housemartins. And then usually the response is, who are the Housemartins?
That's I mean, I would take that one. I might use that one, Millennial Housemartins. Yeah, I don't know. It depends who I'm talking to. I would probably just say energetic, bouncy, indie punk, something like that. If it's someone who I feel like might know a bit more about the kind of stuff we're into, I would say power pop, probably. I think that's what we've become, is functional power pop band.
So the new album is called Please Don't Take Me Back. But Nathan, I am going to take you back. I'm going to take you back to 2011. I planned that. I worked on that so much. To the mists of time 11 years ago. When Martha, started putting out like an EP here and there. It was all like, very DIY. Did you think you'd be on album number 4 in 10 years' time, or is this all part of the plan and next year it's Wembley or nothing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Was I thinking about the future? Because a lot of the new stuff is about the future and kind of, or the lack of a future, or the lack of even an imagination of a future. But yeah, I think like if when we'd started it, someone had said, you can do this, this, and this, and listed a lot of the things we'd done. Or you can have the magic box with a question mark on it. I'd have definitely took what we've done. We had very modest kind of aims to start with, and maybe that's been why we've been able to keep doing it for quite a long time, is because we've just took each step as it comes and didn't have expectations about becoming massive or anything like that, and just actually took each win and loss as they came.
Take me back to the old days. Take me back to the glory days we had. Take me back to the old days. No wake up till I was really focused.
We were sort of in the midst of what someone in the industry would probably say was an album cycle, when everything shut down, and we had a US tour booked and a European tour and various things that didn't happen. And as it kind of became clear that things weren't that we were in it for the long haul, I guess we just started like pinging demos back and forth, just because it was something that we could do on our own, but paradoxically collaborate with each other. And in a way, it was sort of even more collaborative than I think the record before, just because of, well, lots of things, but just the sort of role that we each had in each other's ideas and stuff, to me at least, felt very, I don't know, it felt like quite a cool thing. Maybe it's because it was one source of happiness when things were looking pretty bleak. So there's that as well. But yeah, it was like, I mean, every band you talk to will have a lockdown, a kind of COVID narrative. So I don't want to dwell on it too much. This is what this is the world we live in. But it was a kind of, I think the key thing was, in terms of the themes, like there's a real temptation to go, weren't things better as they were before? You know, I wish that this wasn't happening, and actually just to sort of say, well, no, the radical position is to say, no, things weren't good enough before, and let's not settle for that. Let's kind of come out of this with some, at least, you know, desire to think about a positive future of some kind in amongst the crisis after crisis kind of situation.
I wanted to ask you about the politics within Martha's lyrics. They feel so within the DNA. I feel like if I, like, you know, they come in the car and I say to someone, oh, these are a really political band, they could listen to a song and go, are they? They just seem about being sad or something. And then, like, within that, there are so many, like, just references to gender, sexuality, ACAB, like they crop up here and there. And I just wanted to ask if that was this conscious effort to go, we're not subhumans, we're not going to be like, here's a song about hating the government. Not that there's anything wrong with those ones, but whether when you're writing the lyrics, whether that's individually or collaboratively, that you like playing with the story and the character rather than the overtness of anarchism.
It was, when we started, a chance to sort of, as you know, I have an outlet for that kind of more overt kind of those more overt kind of, like, I guess,
smash the state, yeah,
exactly. And I'm a big proponent of that, but I also like other kinds of music, and I think it's like similar to sort of what you do with your theatre stuff, and the kind of, like, when you tell stories about political people, politics comes through. And, you know, like, I think a lot of the interest in storytelling and narrative and characters, that was what was, like, really interesting at the beginning. And, like, as a kind of, this is something that we can, you know, we're a horizontally organized band. There's the lead singer in a song, but that doesn't mean they've written it. And the songs are, you know, people might think, that song Nathan wrote about this thing, but the songs are all about characters, and so it's kind of like there's always that bit of distance as well that is really useful for exploring ideas and stuff.
Give me a beat perpetual, not even a beat perpetual. Give me a beat and a beat that's calling me home, and I'm home until my credits roll, yeah.
I have this memory, and it might not have happened because I googled it and I couldn't find it. But I'm going back again. But please don't take me.
That's okay.
2019. I think Martha did a gig where you had a banner that was like "Vote Labour," and I also, like, put on a gig with Grace Petrie and did a fundraiser. And I've been reading a lot about things like Red Wedge in the 80s recently, about how, you know, musicians tried to support the Labour Party in 87. And I've been thinking a lot about artists, and the word compromise keeps coming up, and this idea of, like, where you draw a line, where you go, like, we accept this, we don't accept this.
No, yeah, that's a good question. And I think, like, there was a contradiction in, you know, implicit in us performing in front of that sort of message, I think, in some ways, like, certainly for me. And I guess, like, at the time, well, we don't really need to talk about what happened after that election, but I don't feel regret about trying to avert what happened. There's four of us in the band, and we have differences of views, and we're on a sort of spectrum of where we're at in terms of the compromises that we make and whatever. I mean, I've never been a member of the Labour Party. Well, actually, I was until I was 16, and then I joined when I was 16, and then I left when I left over the Iraq War, so that's as far back as, you know, when Onsen started, Tony Blair was Prime Minister, so the Labour Party were the enemy. That image of us playing in front of that banner, I've thought about a lot, because it's such a like weird sort of, it's like it's like all of that never happened, you know, like that period of, I guess, a little bit of kind of break from the consensus in terms of mainstream politics. Yeah, in terms of the harm reduction kind of approach to electoralism, I don't regret doing that, but, you know, we won't be doing it again.
Well, on that note, two big themes of the Vinyl Factory show is we like to ask ourselves and our guests about how your hope and anger, and then, hey, here's a single comes along by Martha, who I'm going to interview in a couple of weeks, and it's Hope Gets Harder. And I guess I take away from it, hope gets harder, but it doesn't go away. I just wondered if there's anything specific at the moment, Nathan, that is even in a thin way giving you hope, for whether that's musically as an artist or like as what's happening in the political sphere.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff, and there's, you know, people organizing all the time, and that, you know, that is the answer, and it always has been. It hasn't been like the British parliamentary system. It's the completely corrupt. It should be burned down, you know. It's like not a the Labour Party was never going to save us, even under Corbyn, from ecological collapse. Like, so yeah, I get hope from people who are doing good stuff all at the grassroots. There's for example, near us, the Abolish Hassick Field campaign. So there's a detention centre just been opened up, or recently opened up, in County Durham, and there's a big mobilisation, and there was a big demo in Durham City where people came from all around. People came up from London, connections being made between different people, and that kind of stuff gives me hope. I do feel like I've been having the same debates and the same arguments and the same history repeating itself so much that I kind of do have to sometimes switch off from politics, especially at the minute, and just be like, what is giving me joy in my life? Music, obviously, playing role-playing games with my friends, you know, like just little things. Trade union is hopefully going to be going on strike soon. That's something that I always get a lot of joy in. You know, it's not without its costs financially and in terms of stress and things, but I always feel like better when we actually do something rather than just complaining about it.
No, thank you so much. Speaking of music and joy, is there a song you'd like us to play on East Leeds FM?
Yeah, could you play Sink to the Bottom by Fountains of Wayne?
I wanna sink to the bottom with you. I wanna sink to the bottom with you. The ocean is big and blue. I just wanna sink to the bottom with you. Cars on the highway, planes in the air. Everyone else is going somewhere, but I'm going nowhere. Getting there soon. I might as well just sink down with you. I wanna sink to the bottom with you. I wanna sink to the bottom with you. and I'll be there too. I might as well go under with you. I wanna sink to the bottom with you. I wanna sink to the bottom with you. The ocean is big and blue. I just wanna sink to the bottom with you. I just wanna sink to the bottom with you. I wanna sink to the bottom with you. The ocean is big and blue. I just wanna sink to the bottom with you. I just wanna. I just wanna. I just wanna. I just wanna.
I would sing to the bottom with you, Henry Raby.
What are we talking here? The sea, a lagoon, society?
Yeah, the society. I just feel like when it all comes crumbling down,
Yeah.
be me and you having a little picnic, being like, oh well.
Yeah. Race to the bottom of
We
the
had
ecological collapse.
Yeah, we had a nice time. Lemonade's good.
That was a good chat with Nathan.
Really
When-
enjoyed that. That was lovely.
It was interesting. He said about the parliamentarism and
Yeah.
needs to be burned down. And that's what I was saying about turning it into flats.
It's very possible to hold one foot in both camps, right? So you can know the importance of the Labour Party right now and therefore be supportive of it and involved in whatever way makes sense for you, and also have your foot on the ground that says we know this isn't the solution and we also need to be fundamentally creating a different environment. There'll be people who disagree with me and say you can't do both, but I just think you can and we need to, which is why I'm so tired.
We don't need you to be tired, Natalie. We need you to be provoking.
The chat train is pulling into Nat's provocation station.
Indeed, Henry. This is the time of the show where I like to provoke you. And there's lots to talk about in this provocation because... Do you want me to start again?
No, carry on. I'm
Okay.
listening.
Because last Saturday we had a wonderful event here at Chapel FM Arts Centre that I kind of co-coordinated, and we brought together, it was called the Climate Action Seacroft Community Forum, and we brought together lots of different residents in Seacroft, organisations, third sector, activists, different people, and said, let's firstly have a kind of seasonal celebration. It's autumn, and we did apple juicing, as we mentioned before, in the forest garden down the road in the afternoon, and then all came together and had stalls and activities, and then moved into the gorgeous chapel performance space where there was performances and poetry and discussion and presentations. And I'm really excited about this format that we're kind of experimenting. This is the second event that we've done in this way, as a means of putting into practice a lot of what we've always talked about, which is trying to bring our skills as performers and people who understand audiences and the protest and community organising elements and bringing them together also with organisations and with people who have like resources. And how do we bring that together in a format that works really well? And I feel like I'm kind of on the cusp of it. But without further ado, we are going to hear the introduction from the live part of that event.
And you started with a Commoners Choir song, our
yeah.
dear friends. So it starts off with a track called These Are the Hands.
These are the hands, 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 these are the hands. And after the clapping has faded away, remember what we learned today.
For the second Climate Action Seacroft Community Forum! Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. I wanted to start the evening with that song by the Commoners Choir because these are the hands in this room that are going to do some work tonight. These are the hands that have turned up. These are the hands that can definitely make a difference to our community and to the lives that we're all living. That's what all of us involved in Climate Action Seacroft believe. If you don't know me, my name's Natalie, and I'm the hub worker for Climate Action Seacroft, and we are a group of residents living here in Seacroft and surrounding areas who wanted to start taking grassroots community action, getting stuck in, getting involved with all kinds of projects that you're going to hear about tonight.
Yeah, so that was a little taster of the introduction. So some of the things that I'm just reflecting on are how you start the evening with activity and stalls. So we had someone who's volunteers at the Forest Garden making little bird feeders with pine cones. We had a clothes swap, people donating free clothes and just taking other clothes. We had a winter coat, they call it a winter coat exchange, but you're just giving away coats. And that was organised by Zero Waste Leeds. More stuff that was like giving out bulbs and related to our planting activity that we're doing.
And we've fed people. People had gorgeous dal because, it's really important that food is part of this conversation is about growing.
Yeah, 100%. So and also the We Are Seacroft Collective have had a soft launch of their new website. So all the different organisations, churches, schools, art centres, community centres are all collaborating to have all their information in one place. So that kind of very practical advice on the energy crisis, where people can get support, what funding is out there, what allowances are out there, where you can get advice and help, that sort of stuff. So there's a bit of how did you find that atmosphere in the beginning?
It's really communal. Like, people are there to have a conversation. Like, people have come because it's curated, but it's not controlled. It made me think about how actually when you go on a protest, you stand in a certain place and you're given a placard and you chant, and the best things come afterwards when you go to the pub. And the best conversations do happen around gig venues, or they happen at occupations or sit-ins when you have time to reflect and have a conversation, rather than there's a place for anger, but there's also a place to build and discuss and connect.
I think that's exactly what I'm trying to hone in on, is the conversations that we've always had after a protest, particularly a poor protest, when you've come away and you don't feel empowered and emboldened and like you've done something that evening. And then you go away and you go, oh, do you know what? The speeches were too long. There wasn't enough time and space to kind of talk to anyone. I don't really know what they want me to do now. Like, what's next? And we kind of have those moans. And I know George Monbiot also writes in his book, The Age of Crises. He talks about like how to get a protest right. And this forum is a way of me trying to hone that. And go, we understand what a performer can do to an audience and what live discussion can do, what music like the Commoners Choir and film and spoken word can all do. And then we get that energy in the room and immediately take it downstairs to go into an organising space and invite people to go and have those conversations with people, get big pens and paper out, have that sort of, as you say, very loose. It's still tea and cake and people can mingle and do what they want to do. But like, we came away from that event with stuff had got done that would have taken 50 emails. Doing this publicly, and obviously the tickets are free, is also an opportunity to just come and find out more and to invite people in. And sometimes that's really difficult, right? We're constantly, I was disappointed by numbers that there wasn't more new faces in the room. And how often do we say that about gigs or meetings or whatever? But it's still important to continue to make that invitation and to go, right, if we do this twice a year, then eventually it has to start building and you get new faces in. But our dear friends, Naomi and Lydia, at the end of the night said, don't forget, it's quality, not quantity. And these two young men who had just never heard of us, never been into this place before, had just seen the apple juicing in the forest garden, were curious, went and checked that out. And then they ended up coming to this event and like contributing in such a beautiful way. So it kind of makes it all worthwhile for me.
Macron brilliantly has come along. Sorry, I put you on the spot. I said I wouldn't, but I was lying. You were just passing the forest garden and decided to you saw some apple juicing, and now you've ended up here tonight. Brilliant. Give Macron a massive round of applause. And Cam as well. Thank you so much for coming. Do you want to tell us, have you got any ideas around what you'd like to see happening in your community?
To be honest, no.
That's all right. I put you on the spot. I get what I asked for, don't I?
The only time I knew about these happenings was just pretty much today.
Yeah.
But it's very good to know this. Like, all this common altruism is very, very interesting. Brilliant. And I'd for one, would be very intrigued to be a part of it.
And we are definitely going to welcome you with open arms. Thank you both so much for coming. And common altruism is exactly why everyone in this room is here. So thank you for being... You're part of the gang now. Part of the gang.
Common altruism. You're going to put that in your PhD, Nat?
Yeah, there's something about sometimes young people just... That's why we work with young people, right? Like, they just talk straight from the heart and come out with something as beautiful as that. And, you know, in the moment, obviously, I'm hosting and I've got 1,000 things running through my mind. But reflecting on that, and he just was speaking so purely, and I, you know, got the impression that, well, like he says, doesn't he? Like, he'd never heard of this stuff before, and speaking to him afterwards, he was like, this is completely new to me. So absolute credit to them for being bold enough to take the microphone, and they contributed other ideas and stuff in different parts of the discussion, which was amazing. And then they came to a workshop, right?
Yeah, so his younger brother Cam came along yesterday and is starting to get involved. So, like, once you're in the gang, you're in the gang. But what it made me reflect on was, if you go back a few episodes to when we're chatting to your friend Freya, who's also a community theatre director, and we talk about working with young people, and we talked about sometimes you go, what do you want? And young people don't have the language to imagine what they need. And there's that thing when you go, what do you want to do? He's like, well, I don't know. I just want to be here. I just want to experience this. And through that experience, community and getting involved, then you give options and you build ideas. But you can't start from scratch. You have to create the conditions to come up with fresh ideas and approaches.
Exactly right. And it's creating the conditions for positive conversations and for getting people in the right frame of mind to go, yes, I can do this, and yes, we can, feeling positive, and asking people, you know, I gave everyone a provocation at the end of the evening to say, I want you to think about what problem or provocation do you think you could solve with these people in this room tonight? Yeah. And we got some stuff done, like stuff around Naomi's going to be carving 50 pumpkins with kids this weekend. She's like, all that is going to go to waste, and how do we stop it? And 4 people got around the table and organised pumpkin bins, and how they're going to go around with a wheelie bin and collect stuff up, or they've researched what you know, how they can give with every pumpkin that's carved, you can get a recipe for pumpkin soup. And, you know, there's things that it might be small, but actually that's mighty in the power that you can demonstrate, look what we can do when the right conditions are in place, and how powerful is that. And of course, in terms of creating the right atmosphere, Henry, I can always rely on you. So you were my closing act.
My mission was that I was going to work with another poet and community organiser called Natalie Davies, and she was asking people for suggestions and ideas, which I talk about on this clip, and I took all these and I turned it into a poem. So this is the closer. I was the closing act. I know that we're, sort of horizontal organising, but I was the headliner, right?
Totally.
And finally, we've had a fantastic poetry activity going on downstairs. And here, ladies and gentlemen, I want to put your hands together. He's your best friend and mine. He's a legend. He's fantastic. Let's give him some energy to do the best poem in the world. It's Henry Raby! How was that?
To the Natalie, but not that Natalie, to the other Natalie, had a lovely stall where she had these two lovely things, the head of the earth, thank you very much, Ivory, and the poetry, if Rachel, if you could show off the poetry. And so one of them was practical things, one of them was poetic things, and after fantastic Natalie's amazing encouragement, we have a collection of thoughts which I've penned down in this poem, which I'm going to read for you now. So here goes. Pop that pinging phone down. The people here today have thoughts pinned into Gaia's foamy head. The world will burn if we don't stop now. Better to burn than fade away, better to boil than wash away. Stop waiting for the shower to be boiling hot. This movement's gonna take all we've got. Hey, fossil fuel industry, maybe you should stop. Hey, fossil fuel industry, maybe you should stop because the kite's stuck in the tree, but not in thee. Reverse the snowball, get excited about nature, let's go to the supermarket and the refill centres. How long will this branch last? The world will burn if we don't act. The trouble with feelings is they don't have all the words to match them. The trouble with anger is it's a word that we throw around. The trouble with hope is it's a word we need to grow. The trouble with nature is it doesn't make me calm. Teach the next generation to have a strong radar to stop and disarm greenwashing. Instead of the world, we should be burning. Our hearts and minds and fury like a broadcast fire. We are the fire and this is the fuel. Vote with your heart. Better to be active today. Better to burn than fade away. Thank you very much. Cheers. Can we get a round of applause for Natalie, please?
Let's go save the world with tea and cake downstairs. Thank you very much. Let's go, go, go.
It was good. It was a good night. It was lovely.
Yeah, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. I'm going to be comparing this to different formats and thinking about how we can do it more. I really, really hope that we can keep doing this. I think I'm onto something.
I think it was banging.
Because every single song you own is a banger.
It's time for Nat's banger of the hour.
Bangers.
Is it a banger?
I thought this month's banger of the hour had to be a Halloween themed one. We're recording, a little bit spooky. But then you sent me a screenshot of a tweet that really made me laugh this week. And it says, my favourite aspect of Halloween is the playlists, where people clearly add songs like Zombie by the Cranberries on name alone. So at parties, it goes Monster Mash, Rocky Horror, beautiful elegy of intergenerational trauma of English violence against Ireland, then Thriller.
Hello, we are now joined by Evie Manning, who is the co-artistic director of Commonwealth Theatre, who are based in Bradford, but also Cardiff. There's like two branches, which we're very curious about. Evie, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, we're working on multiple things. So I've been setting different things up, packing different things up. It's just been one of those days. But yeah, I'm great. Happy to be here.
You've got some cushions behind you. You look a little bit more relaxed and settled for the chat.
Settled.
Just found a little like cozy spot in a corner.
Why don't you tell us about how Commonwealth got started and about why the two branches exist in Cardiff and Bradford?
Yeah, of course. So we started in Bristol actually. And we really started as a reaction against most mainstream theatre, which we felt was really middle class, and we really wanted to make political theatre for working class people. That was our driver. So we've always worked site specific, and we've always worked in buildings where basically people who don't normally go to the theatre might go instead. So it was that direct like access point. All our work's always been about social change, and like we started like 10 years ago, and so idealistically we were really like, yeah, we want to change the world through theatre. Yeah. Now that shine has rubbed off a little bit.
Oh no, don't say that.
No, just because you get a little bit more like, okay, how much can you really achieve through theatre, and look at the state of things. But yeah, I am from Bradford originally, and then Rhiannon, who is the co-artistic director with me, she's from Cardiff originally. So we were kind of mainly in Bradford for a long time, working out of here, and Rhiannon would come up. And then she moved back to East Cardiff, to the council estate that she grew up on, and has set up a Commonwealth there. So we now have two bases. So Wales is also a different country. So we like to think of ourselves like an
international
operation. So yeah.
Nice. I wonder, Evie, so you said, you've just come on, you've been organising stuff at your base. Can you tell us a little bit about the energy at your headquarters? What's it like? Can you paint us a picture of, maybe there isn't an average day over at Commonwealth HQ?
Well, yeah, I would say it's definitely not really an average day. I mean, we just had a staff meeting, to be honest, which is our normal Wednesday, but on that staff meeting there is so many things going on, so it's always a bit of a head spin. Tonight we've got Speakers Corner, which is our girls collective. It's like a young women who campaign for action, so they mainly make campaigns. So tonight they've got their Tea Party fanzine making event, which they've been planning for a while. We're also wrapping up the tour of Pieceophobia, which is our show about modified car culture and Islamophobia, and we've got some tour dates for that for next year that we're all working on. We've had a really interesting proposition that I can't really talk about, but like from commission a new show. We're working on
Festival of Brexit, isn't it, Evie? That's what it is. Some of that sweet Brexit money we've been hearing all
God, no, we severely boycotted that. I was like really offended because people were ringing me and saying, well, would you partner on this? And I was supremely offended that they would even ask me. I was like, what? Not. But yeah, we've got a new show in Burnley next year, which we're making about the fast fashion industry. So we're doing a lot of research into practices in Bangladesh and Ghana. So we've been doing a lot of research on that. Yeah, and now we're preparing for our most upcoming show, You Are Here as a Witness, which opens in November. But we have also been working on another show, which is in March, which is about the education system and what is taught on the curriculum. So we've been doing loads of workshops with young people. So on the weekend, we were doing workshops with deaf young people. Last week, we were working with Roma young people. Tomorrow, we're back with some Roma young people. So yeah, it's been a really busy time with lots of different things in the pipeline. So
wow, sounds amazing. Sounds absolutely brilliant. Well done. Well done. It's great. You're doing a great job.
Whenever I see something of Commonwealth, I think he was a whiplash theatre company, because I'm like, whoa, all this stuff going on. It's incredible.
That's how we feel in the middle of it.
Tell us more about the You Are Here as a Witness.
Yeah, so You Are Here as a Witness is really a special piece to us because it's based on the very first show that we made as Commonwealth, which was called Our Glass House. And Hourglass House was basically staged in residential houses, and it toured to 5 different houses across the country, so on normal streets. And it's about domestic abuse. It's based on interviews with survivors, and we interviewed a lot of our friends and family. We interviewed each other. So that show is really made from a lot of personal testimony and is very, very, really dear to us, because it's kind of what brought everything that, you know, when you're young and you're like, yeah, let's make a theatre company and we want it to be these things and these and these and these, and really idealistic. But then that was the show that actually encapsulated all of what we were trying to do and make. And we were approached by a domestic abuse charity called the NR Project, who wanted to work with us again based on Hourglass House. But we were like, well, we can't really do it in a house again, because that's a whole undertaking, because you have to get a house off the council. It's a big job. And so we've made a version of it, essentially. And the NR Project works with Black and Asian survivors of domestic abuse. So we've made a version with 3 characters. One is a woman who is pregnant. She's a Black woman who is pregnant, 8 months pregnant, really trying to keep the relationship alive. One of the characters only speaks in Urdu the whole show, and her character is based on lots of interviews we've done with women who essentially were married in Pakistan and then came here, and then most of the marriage was essentially like domestic servitude. And then we've also got an 11-year-old character in the show who is not related to them, but it's his experience being a child in an abusive house. So the show itself is like each character is living alongside each other, so the action's all simultaneous. But sometimes it feels more like live art, really, because they're all in their own worlds, in their own houses. And really the show, we've always said from when we made Hourglass House, like, it's not about domestic abuse. It's about the reasons why people stay and then how they leave. And of course, it's based on lots and lots of interviews with survivors, but we never really looked at the violence so much. We looked at love and control and controlling behavior, and also the courage for people to leave. So yeah, it's quite an interesting show, I would say. Like, yeah, there's so much to it. There's so many layers to it, and there's a lot of depth to it. And I also think it is just, I think, a striking piece of theatre. Like, it's quite a contemporary piece of theatre.
Great. And about, can you tell us about the performers, the actors that are performing? Is there an 11-year-old being an 11-year-old?
Yeah. And that is actually my son.
Oh!
But basically, what's nice about it is he was involved in the show from when he was literally 6 months old, because that's when we first rehearsed it. He was in rehearsals at 6 months old. So I feel like, and we always had an 11-year-old boy in the show, and it just would have been really unfair for it to have been anyone else except him, because he's journey. He always came on tour. We kind of lived in the houses when we toured with the show. So Remy, my son, has been on that journey. So yeah, he's in the show. And then we have Leah Francis, who is a lead-based actress.
I love Leah!
Yeah, we love Leah. Leah's absolutely brilliant. And then we have somebody called Sahar Shah, who is an actress from London, who plays her now. So yeah, we've got our 3 really brilliant actors, and
And one of the things that we talk about a lot on the Vinyl Factory show is the fuel that keeps us going. I know you've said that you know, you've got maybe a more realistic view than you did when you first started the company, but we talk about hope and we talk about anger an awful lot, and how those are the things that sort of keep us going. And I wondered what your reflections on those 2 things, like, where do you get your hope from? Where do you get your anger from? Are they still present in your life and in your work?
Yeah, really good. That's a nice question. I think I definitely get my hope just from the people that we work with, because we rarely work with actors. We work with people who it's their lived experience. So working with people and hearing things that they say, and also a lot of the anger comes from that as well, to be honest, because people talk about things like, we were working with deaf young people on the weekend, and they were telling us about basically the only school for deaf young people is one of the most failing schools in Bradford, which is £5 million in debt. So all of the provision for the deaf students is being cut because they're in this other bigger institution, which has been a failing school, but failing for like the last 15 years. So hearing them talk about that gets you really angry because you just think, can this be? But then on the same flip side, working with them and hearing how they articulate that and how they talk about that and what that means to them is also hopeful. So I think in most things that you explore, there's a lot of anger. Like the show we made about Islamophobia, peacephobia, that shows like, you know, there's so much anger in there about the police force and racial profiling and just state racism, personal racism. That's all in there, but then there's also the hope. That was it. I think you kind of got to approach everything with both those things, because otherwise, why would you make it? Like, you can't have just anger or just hope. Like, I think those, in terms of life, lived experience, they're always on the same flip side in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's
thing gives you hope. So but you kind of have to have the anger to want to do it. Otherwise, it's
yeah, if you don't feel angry anymore, then that's when I start getting worried. If you started to feel a bit dead inside, that's I think actually I said that on the last podcast. Henry was like, how are you? And I was like, I'm dead inside. But I was really angry by the end of the show, so that it doesn't last long.
It's quite scary times. There's just so much apathy that is out there, but also can get to us as well, because you do just feel like, well, what can I do? And I'm sure, like a lot of people, I spent a lot of time really involved in more political movements and being more of an activist. Labour doesn't feel like really a viable option now with everything that happened to Jeremy Corbyn. I don't feel like that is safe. Do you know what I mean? Of like the true activist. Sorry, I don't know. But you know, it's quite difficult now. You can put it with people's movements, but then ultimately how the government level of politics, it just feels so like out of control and
and it's about knowing and spending your energy very, very carefully as well. So knowing that these times that we're living in are incredibly draining of your energy.
Evie, what song would you like us to play on East Leeds FM?
Well, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking actually a song that was a massive part of Hourglass House. It's Florence and the Machine and Shake It Out, but it's the Benny Benassi remix.
Oh yes, nice one.
High party tune, but also it's got a tragedy to it. Yeah, that's kind of in homage to Hourglass House.
And all of the ghouls come out to play. And every demon wants its pound of flesh. But I like to keep some things to myself. I like to keep my shoes drawn. It's always darkest before the dawn. And I've been a fool and I've been blind. I can never leave the past behind. I can see no way, I can see
Nice one. Nice.
I don't know who you're mimicking, Henry Raby.
I think it was interesting that Evie and Nathan both reflected, admittedly because we'd prompted them, the Labour Party won't save us, we've sort of got to save ourselves, and we've got to build our own communities and spaces. So check out Martha's new album, which is a banger. I listened to it today. And also go and see anything that Commonwealth Theatre put on, because they're really cool as well.
They're great. I'm looking forward to going across to Bradford to check that out. So in summary, Henry, because we're about to close the show, I believe we have covered all the bases today. We've worked out that community organising is the way forward. It is the winner, especially when the arts are expertly woven into it, that you have to kind of engage with party politics, but keep your wits about you, remain sceptical, and keep the hope and anger alive.
Keep the hope and or the anger alive. Thank you for listening to the Vinyl Factory Radio Slow. Oh, it's a long day. Welcome. You can find all the songs we play on a little playlist I make on Spotify. Please listen to all the other shows that we've got. Please tell your friends. We're just a small little radio show in East Leeds FM, so it really does help if you recommend to someone. You should check us out, listen to this, even if it's just because we play absolute hammer bangers.
Yes, please. We're off to go see Hot in Here now, aren't we?
Yes, we're going to see what we talked about on the last episode. So check that out. Just check it all out. Check it out. I've been Henry Raby.
My name's Natalie Quatermass.
Bye.
Henry Raby.
That's me. No, he doesn't. Except yesterday when I couldn't find my roll on.